That's where we were murdered last time. The Shrine of Oldon the Brave marks your place. No. I do believe the Count may have swindled us. Hello, friends, and welcome back. Today we are picking up where we left off with the Scarlet Sorcerer. We're having another lovely spike in temperature, so already feeling a little wilty, already feeling a little faint, but we're going to push through, see if we can wrap up another run before the heat takes me. We've had 2 runs so far. Both of them have ended in unexpected calamity. However, both runs have also been relatively confined to just this western edge of the map. We've picked up a few clues. So for one thing, in the Dragon Mist Marshes, there is the altar of the Silver Dragon. We need to go collect some kind of special item, take it down into the Dragon Mist Marshes, offer it up on the altar of the Silver Dragon, and then something might happen. We had a lot of clues and hints that were guiding us toward that altar. Likewise, there were a bunch of clues and things to go visit the village of Ashwood and to go to Castle Black in the Ashwood Forest, which we went to, and I think we got a special item. We got a key there. So what I'm kind of inclined to do this run is to go up to just outside of Lemnos, because there was an elf that we spoke to who gave us a healing potion. Then I'd like to take that healing potion down to the Dragon Mist Marshes, offer that up on the altar, and see what kind of advice we get from the Dragon Mist Marshes. And kind of use that as our starting point for this run, because we know how to solve that, and there is a column of map between the far western edge and the Ashwood Forest to Dragon Mist Marshes kind of column that we haven't explored. So we can still do that loop and see some new terrain at the same time. And then from there, go onward to explore the rest of the map. So now we start, as always, space 226. Now, this being our 3rd run, I'm going to start skipping over some of the backstory on things. So places that we visited in previous playthroughs, we're just going to sort of blitz on by, and you're welcome to go back and watch previous episodes to learn more about what happened at those locations. Now, as a reminder, we navigate using the compass rose at the bottom of each map page, and so they tell us which directions are valid to move to and which page to turn to for going in any particular direction. We're going to go due north right up to Lemnos, and then we're going to make our way back south 1 space to the east. Going north out of here, we go to page 96. And we have to remember, every time we move pages, we have to mark off a travel day. So as we go to page 96, we mark off travel day number 1. Now we're going to go north again to 213. Okay, arriving in 213, we're going to mark off our travel day. And we're going to continue on to 140, travel day number 3. And that's the city of Lemnos. So in X70, that's where we met somebody that gave us a healing potion. So we're going to go to X70. Now, I want to make a quick note here, and that's that I'm not writing anything down. I'm not keeping any notes. I'm not going back and reviewing previous episodes. Everything that I'm doing here is going straight off of memory. I think it's a little more fun that way. You encounter a group of elves who have escaped from Ashwood Forest. They say Silvarian was seen at Castle Black, a fortress north of the city of Ashwood, 1 week before he was killed by the Deathlord's troops. The leader of the elves gives you a healing potion, special item, which restores 5 endurance points. Record it on your solo sheet, but remember to tick it off when you use it. To continue your quest, turn back to page 140. Awesome, so we return to page 140, and add that healing potion to our special items on our solo sheet. From here, we're actually going to go southeast, because then we're going to head down south to the bottom of the map and over to the Dragon Mist Marshes. So to go southeast from here, we're going to go to page 64, which I believe is going to be new for us. Ooh, yes, indeed it is. Okay, so first off, it's easiest if we do it as soon as we turn to the page. Mark off our elapsed day. Now, looks to be some sort of cratery thing. X98. I mean, we gotta. Like, what is the point of playing this game if we're not going to explore things and skirt danger and mystery and other things? X98. This is the blessed shrine of the wood sprites, a place of goodness and healing. Many of the Deathlord's scouts are encamped in the surrounding trees, but none dare approach the sacred shrine. You may restore 3 endurance points for every day that you stay here. To continue your quest, turn back to page 64. Okay, well, this is good to know. So we found another place where we can restore our endurance at the expense of days. Currently, our endurance is maxed out, so there's not much for us to do here but to turn back to page 64 and to continue our journey. So from here, we should be able to just go due south until we get to the bottom of the map, and then just one space east will take us to the Dragon Mist Marshes. So from 64, we're going to go to 48. Okay, and arriving in 48, we're going to mark off our travel day. All right, so from here, there's just one point of interest, X85. Let's see what it holds. You land at the site of an ancient border fort, where a patrol of soldiers from your country are encamped among the ruins. You learn that scouts from the Deathlord's army have been seen on the battle plains of Chal. To continue, turn back to page 48. Alright, so clearly there is nowhere safe from the Deathlord's armies at this point. Well, fortunately, we're going to be continuing south and eventually crossing back into Estalon. And we're going to go to 262 to do it. And before we do anything else, we mark off our travel day. So we've just sort of crossed, we're like right on the border still between Estalon and Calcor. And looks like there's some sort of fort or fortress at X68. Let's see what lies inside. This is Castle Defiant, home of Baron Veladorn, one of Estalon's bravest warlords. He is preparing his troops for a long march north and is far too busy to answer your questions about Silvarian the Great. Lose one day. To continue, turn back to page 262. So Castle Defiant, we lose a day, unfortunately. And we go back to page 262. And there's not really anything else to do here, so we're going to continue south to page 134. We mark our day of travel. We were here during the first run. We can tell we're at the southern border because there's no southern directions that we can go. So we're going to continue east to 126. And we mark our travel day. And here we can see the Dragon Mist Marshes. X32. On a rocky slope rising out of the Dragon Mist Marshes stands the altar of the Silver Dragon. Legend says that he who places a treasure upon the altar will have his wish granted. If you wish to place a special item on the altar, turn to X113. We were not able to do this the first time we came here. X113, here we come. Wahaha. The object fades and disappears from the altar. You voice your wish, asking for the location of the Deathlord's crystal to be made known to you. 3 images form upon the altar: a dagger, a tree, and a cloaked man with a sun-like symbol emblazoned upon his chest. To continue your quest, turn back to page 126. Now, even though it doesn't explicitly say to mark the healing potion off, to mark your special item off, it did say in the text it disappeared. So I'm going to go ahead and play this very honest, instead of playing it very pedantic and literal. And we're going to scratch the healing potion from our special items. Now, the tree and the dagger symbology we got on the first attempt. The cloaked figure with a sun emblazoned on their chest, that's new. Now, was it worth traveling 8 days to find that out? I don't know. However, having a look at the map, I'm not seeing any compelling places that fit the descriptions that we have so far. Therefore, something that we had from a previous run was to go to the Fortress of the Deathlord to seek out a knight who would be dedicated to our service, or are sworn to help us, or something along those lines. Let's take a step east and let's go due north. We'll just keep sort of raking across the map, I guess. Not having a better destination than as far north as we can go, opposite of the map. So let's step over to 165. Okay, and let's mark our 10th travel day. Now, 165. Well, there's a bustling village here. Let's check out X71.
Old friend of Sylvarian lives here in the village of Five Forks.
He tells you of the times they spent practicing their magic while hunting giant lizards in the Grey Marsh. Lose one day and turn back to page 165 to continue your quest. Could be worse. Okay, we lost a day, and we're back to page 165, looking down on the village of Five Forks. All right, from here, let's go north to 75. And we'll just head straight north until we reach the Fortress of the Demon Lord. We're on page 75. Let's mark off our travel day. And it looks like we are crossing the border back into Calcor. Now we have a Stonehenge thing with an ominous little smiley face right there. But let's go take a look at X66.
You stop to investigate a hilltop shrine and encounter a gang of bandits. They try to rob you, and in the ensuing fight you lose one special item, joke's on them, and 3 endurance points. Joke's on me. Adjust your solo sheet before continuing your quest. Adjust your solo sheet before continuing your quest by turning back to page 75. Well, we have no special items to lose, but we do have endurance. Oof. Returning to 75, there's nothing else here, so let's go on to 268. I'm going to keep this one clicking along. Okay, and we've had a day of travel, and here we are in the plains. A tower just out in the middle of the desert, and what looks like the edge of a forest. I think that's the edge of the Red Wolf Forest, based on the map. I mean, nothing bad has ever happened at a tower. Let's check out X62. The Shrine of Uldan the Brave marks the place where the fearless Calcorian warlord fell in battle. You enter, and beneath the canopy, you discover a hidden gem. If you wish to keep it, mark it on your solo sheet as a special item. To leave the shrine and continue your quest, turn back to page 268. Well, it certainly beats capture and torture by goblins. So we'll go ahead and add that gem to our solo sheet. And back to page 268 we go. Now, looks like the forest itself is X92, so let's go take a look at the Red Wolf Forest. You encounter a group of Calcorian soldiers hiding in the woods. They recently escaped from the Deathlord's army in the forest south of Ashwood. One of the men says he heard that Sylvarian was killed at Vardor. To continue your quest, turn back to page 268. Now, Vardor is all the way over here. This is the second clue that we've gotten of a place that Sylvarian was killed. The first one was all the way up here. And so Vardor is quite a ways away. But we also have another reason to go to Vardor. Though we should stop in at Castle Black to pick up the key. We should have done that while we were all the way up there the first time, but we're going to be passing pretty close by it on our current journey as well. So, when we get to the border with the... Well, actually, no. We're going to go up and we're going to visit the Fortress of the Deathlord first, and then... depending on what we find there, maybe stop over at Castle Black before heading over to Vardor to investigate this new clue. However, we are still working our way north, and north means 8. So we flip nearly the entire length of the book to get back to page 8. We mark our day of travel, and ooh, there's quite a bit happening here. So it looks like we have kind of a northern quadrant of the Red Wolf Forest. We have what looks like to be a really sizable city at X82, and something a little further out toward the Ashwood Forest at X31. Let's investigate them all.
Let's start with the Red Wolf Forest, X8. You discover a looted tomb hidden deep in the Red Wolf Forest. One treasure that was overlooked by the looters is a polished copper dagger. Special item. To leave the tomb and continue on your quest, turn back to page 8. I would not have chosen that accent to read that if I had realized the words copper dagger were in it because, good lord. Copper dagger. Copper dagger. Okay, well, we've had a lot of dagger imagery as something key to finding power crystals, so finding a copper dagger here is not a bad thing. So let's go ahead and add that to our solo sheet and head back to page 8. Okay, so good stuff at X8. File that away in the memory banks. Now, do we go to X82 or X31? Let's do X31 and then X82. X31. A battle is raging in Slatewood. The Deathlord's troops have captured half the town, and hand-to-hand fighting rages along the main street. If you wish to land here, turn to X116. Gotta see, you gotta know. Alright, here we go. The embattled town militia cheer your arrival as the sight of your skyship throws the enemy into confusion. The town magistrate informs you that Silvarian is rumored to have been killed near the city of Vardor in the east. Okay, so that's 2 for dead in Vardor, though the guy we talked to before had said he had heard it up in this area, so maybe this is the original source for it. But either way, that little bit more of a nudge to go to the city of Vardor. Okay, so far so good. Let's head to X82. As you land in the city square of Ludos, you recall the years spent here as a student of Silvarian the Great. That's right. Ludos, this is like kind of the main hub of magic in this on this continent. You visit the Guildhall Arcania, the place where you learnt your magic skills. But it now lies empty and abandoned. In Silvarian study, you find a hastily scribbled note hidden behind his books of spells. It says simply, Rondell of Ashwood. The populace speaks nervously of the Deathlord's armies that occupy the Ashwood Forest and have attacked the town of Slatewood across the river. For every day spent here at Ludos, you may restore 3 endurance points. To continue your quest, return to page 8. Okay. So Lord Rondell is the Lord of Castle Black in Ashwood. We know if we go there, we can get a key. So this is, kind of guiding us over in that direction as well. And it's good to know that there is another friendly haven that we can come to if we need to restore some endurance. So far, I think we're doing okay on the endurance front, and I think our days are more precious. But if that ever changes, there's Ludos. Okay, so if we were to go west of here, I think we'd end up at the village of Ashwood. So we're going to want to go north to 71. We'll mark our travel day. Okay, we are at the southern border of the Plain of Nightmares. We have 3 sites to visit here. One looks like kind of a monument, one looks like a farmstead, and the other one looks like an outpost or maybe a temple of some kind. Let's start at X25, at that monument. The sacred shrine of Ashwood has been destroyed by the Deathlord's armies. There are no clues to be found here. To continue your quest, turn to page 71. Short, sweet, to the point. Okay, I guess let's go on to X90. The hamlet of Blackbridge is empty and deserted. The townsfolk have fled to the safety of Ludos. You search the cottages and discover a ruby ring. Special item. All right. Lose 1 day and turn back to page 71 to continue your quest. Well, first, let's add that ruby ring to our solo sheet, and then we'll flip back to page 71. X6 is next. You seek an audience with Count Rotyart, the Lord of Castle Shieldhaven. He will see you only if you make an offering of 1 special item to his chapel. If you wish to donate a special item and speak to the Count, turn to X108. If you do not, turn back to page 71 and continue on your quest. Well, we did just find a ruby ring, but I think I'm going to hand off the gem that we found, because I do think it will be important to speak to the Count. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of the gem and turn to X108. Okay, the Count tells you that Silvarian hid the Deathlord's crystal
in the ruins of a watchtower a few miles to the north. To continue, turn back to page 71. Interesting. Well, let's continue north into the Plain of Nightmares. That's going to take us to page 159. Mark off our day of travel. And this looks familiar. I do believe the Count may have swindled us. After all, that tower there, that's where we were murdered last time. So not only did that Count take our gem, but he sent us to almost certain doom. Unless, of course, it meant X95, which we never actually got to go and investigate. So while we're here, may as well do that. Maybe X95 is the watchtower, but there's something that tells me that the watchtower is X16. Or at least we're meant to think so. Okay, X95. This is the fortress of the Deathlord. If you dare attempt to enter, turn to X118. If you choose to avoid it and continue your quest, turn to page 159. I do believe we are going to dare to attempt to enter. So X118, you hold our fate. After all, Silvarian did say that we needed to go find a fortress to the north where there was a knight sworn to help us. X118. Only the uncommonly brave or foolish would dare to enter here. Your presence is detected within minutes of your arrival, and you are swiftly captured and taken before the Deathlord for interrogation. You do not survive the experience. Ooh, typo. Your life and your quest end here. Okay. I actually wasn't expecting that to happen. Because I really felt like the clue from Silvarian himself was telling us to go to the fortress in the north and find the hero who is sworn to help us. Okay, well, we've learned some things. I'm not feeling very happy about it. So I now wonder which castle or which fortress or wherever we were supposed to go, according to Silvarian, to find the hero who is sworn to help us. Unless maybe he was referring to Castle Black, which would be north of where we start. Well, okay. All right, well, I guess that's the end of the road for run number 3. I guess it's time to stamp our sheet with the result and prepare for run number 4. But we've learned a lot. I feel like we are getting closer. We've scoured the entire western edge of the map at this point. So I think we're going to maybe do a little more bouncing around next time, instead of being quite so methodical. I don't feel particularly good about that one, but it is what it is. We knew going into this that we were going to experience failure, and I feel like the failures only make us stronger. Until next time, stay cool, and ciao.